Somewhere in a research lab, there is a Quaker parrot wearing a small, harmless sensor on its leg band. That sensor is tracking 3 things, every few minutes, 24 hours a day. Cortisol, the stress hormone. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Dopamine, the reward hormone. For 3 days, the readings are almost flat. Calm, steady, boring in the best possible way. Then, a new pet is introduced into the home. And for the next 21 days, that sensor records something most owners never get to see. A nervous system in real time, deciding whether its entire world just became dangerous, or whether it just got bigger. Today, I am walking you through that timeline, day by day, reading by reading. Because if you have ever brought home a new pet and watched your Quaker parrot change, go quiet, go loud, go somewhere you didn't expect, you were watching this exact process happen. You just didn't have the readout. Now you do. Before we start the clock, I want to introduce 2 real birds whose stories run underneath this entire episode. Kiwi, 4 years old, bonded tightly with her owner Priya for 2 years, about to meet a new kitten. Ollie, 7 years old, bonded with Daniel for 5 years, about to meet a new puppy. Same event, structurally. A new animal, entering a home that used to belong entirely to one bird. Different starting points, different personalities, different outcomes, at least for a while. I'm going to check in on both of them at every phase, because the point of this episode is not that every bird reacts identically. It's that every bird runs the same question, even when the answer looks completely different on the outside. Let's start the clock. Day -3. Day -3. Nothing has changed yet. This is the control window, what your Quaker parrot's internal chemistry looks like on an unremarkable day. Brain state readout. Cortisol, low, steady. Oxytocin, moderate, rising slightly during interaction with the owner, dropping slowly during alone time. Dopamine, small, regular spikes tied to food, play, and attention. This is a nervous system that knows exactly what its world contains. It has mapped every sound in the house, every person, every routine, every safe place to land. Predictability, for a Quaker parrot, is not boring. Predictability is survival. A brain that knows its environment completely can spend its energy on other things. Bonding, playing, resting. Kiwi, day -3, completely normal. Flying to Priya every morning, loud, playful, relaxed. Ollie, day -3, same. Quiet mornings, but affectionate. Sits on Daniel's shoulder for an hour most evenings. Both birds at this point are living in a fully mapped world. That map is about to get a new entry, and their brains do not yet know if that entry is safe. Day 0. The carrier comes through the door. Inside your Quaker parrot's brain, something specific and measurable happens in the first 60 seconds, before the new animal has even made a sound. Brain state readout. Cortisol spikes immediately, often to levels close to what researchers record during an actual predator encounter. Dopamine drops. Oxytocin drops. This is not an overreaction. This is the correct, evolutionarily wired response of a prey animal to an unidentified creature entering its territory without warning. Your Quaker parrot's brain does not know yet that this is a kitten, or a puppy, or a rabbit. It only knows new, unmapped, unknown size, unknown intent, and in the wild, unmapped and unknown is exactly the profile of a threat. Kiwi, day 0. The kitten is set down in a carrier across the room. Kiwi goes completely silent, the kind of silence that means high alert, not calm. She moves to the highest point of her cage and does not come down for the rest of the evening. Ollie, day 0. The puppy, a 9-week-old Labrador, is loud, clumsy, and immediately curious about the cage. Ollie's response is different, not silence but sustained alarm calling. Sharp, repetitive, urgent, same event, 2 completely different surface behaviors. Same internal readout underneath both of them. Cortisol spiking, the brain screaming one question: is this going to hurt me? Quick but important detour here. Your Quaker parrot's brain does not process cat and dog and rabbit as neutral categories. It processes body language, sound, and movement pattern, and some of those patterns are hardwired to read as more threatening than others. A cat's low, silent stalking movement, even from a kitten too young to hunt anything, triggers a stronger and more sustained alarm response than a dog's bouncier, louder movement, because that low stalking gait pattern matches to predator behavior your bird's ancestors needed to recognize instantly. This is why Kiwi went silent and still, while Ollie went loud and reactive. Silence, in this context, is not calm. It is often the more intense stress response, a freeze reflex, the same one that makes a bird go still in the wild when a hawk's shadow passes overhead. Both responses are your bird's nervous system doing exactly what it evolved to do. Neither one means your bird is broken, or spoiled, or overreacting. It means the map just got an entry your bird's brain has no data for yet. Days 1 through 3. This is the window most owners get wrong, because the new pet has stopped being a novelty, but your Quaker Parrot has not stopped reacting to it. Brain state readout. Cortisol remains elevated, well above baseline, even during periods when the new animal is calm or out of the room entirely. Sleep quality drops. Birds in this window wake more frequently, shift position more often, spend less time in deep rest. What's happening is a process researchers call sustained threat monitoring. Your bird's brain has not concluded the new animal is safe. It also hasn't concluded it's dangerous. It is simply refusing to stop paying attention, because in the wild, letting your guard down too early around an unknown animal is a fatal mistake. Kiwi, day 2, eating less than usual. Not refusing food, just eating in shorter bursts, watching the kitten's carrier the entire time, even when the kitten is asleep inside it. Ollie, day 2, still calling frequently, but the calls have changed character slightly. Less sharp alarm, more of the searching contact call, as if checking on Daniel's, location more than the puppy's. This is a critical distinction. Some birds direct their vigilance at the new animal. Others redirect it toward their person, checking, repeatedly, that their primary bond is still intact and unchanged. Both are the same underlying question, aimed in different directions. Has my world gotten more dangerous, and is my person still going to keep me safe inside it? I want to pause the clock here for a second, because I know some of you watching this brought home a second pet recently, and what you are about to hear at day 4 through day 9 might be uncomfortable, because it involves things you may have already done without knowing the cost. I want to say clearly, none of what's coming is about blame. Nobody hands you a brain state readout when you bring home a puppy. Nobody tells you that your Quaker Parrot's cortisol is elevated for 6 days when, on the surface, your bird looks fine, eating, moving, even calling normally some of the time. The gap between what you can see and what is actually happening chemically is the entire reason this episode exists. You are not a bad owner if you miss this. Almost everyone does. What matters now is what you do with the information from here forward. Let's keep going. Day 4. Days 4 through 6. This is where the timeline genuinely splits, and where owner behavior starts to matter more than the new pet's behavior does. Brain state readout, Path A, forced proximity. In homes where the owner tries to speed up the introduction, holding the new pet near the cage, encouraging interaction, wanting everyone to just get used to each other, cortisol does not decline through this window. It plateaus at an elevated level, or in some recorded cases, spikes again with each forced encounter. Brain state readout, Path B, managed distance. In homes where the owner keeps the two animals fully separated, with only supervised, distant, brief sight lines, cortisol begins a slow, measurable decline starting around day 4. Not resolved, just beginning to trend downward for the first time since day 0. Kiwi's home, day 5. Priya, worried Kiwi seems stressed, tries to reassure her by holding the kitten near the cage so Kiwi can see it's friendly. Kiwi lunges at the cage bars, something she has never done before. Priya, upset, pulls back and does not repeat the attempt. That single well-intentioned mistake, corrected quickly, still shows up in Kiwi's readout as a spike that takes almost 2 full days to fully settle back down. Ollie's home, day 5. Daniel keeps the puppy in a separate room entirely, and only lets Ollie observe from across the room, at a distance, for short supervised windows, several times a day. No forced proximity, no pressure. Ollie's cortisol, by day 6, has dropped noticeably, not to baseline, but moving. The lesson embedded in both of these readouts is one of the most important things in this entire episode. Distance, with repeated safe observation, teaches a Quaker Parrot's brain that the new animal is boring. Forced closeness teaches it that the new animal is dangerous, and that its own signals are being ignored. Boring is the goal. Boring is safety. Days 7 through 9. If the previous phase has gone reasonably well, distance respected, no forced encounters, the new animal simply existing predictably at a safe range, something specific happens in your Quaker Parrot's brain during this window. Researchers call it reclassification. It is the moment a stimulus moves from the unknown threat category into the known, monitored, non-urgent category. Brain state readout. Cortisol drops below the sustained elevation plateau for the first time, not to full baseline, but into a range where normal behaviors resume. Regular eating, regular preening, regular sleep cycling. Dopamine begins showing small spikes again during interaction with the owner. Oxytocin, critically, begins to recover during the owner's presence, meaning the bond itself, which had been quietly suppressed by the stress load, starts becoming available again. This is not the bird deciding it loves the new pet. That is a much later, separate development, if it happens at all. This is the bird's nervous system deciding, I have watched this thing for over a week. It has not hurt me. It does not appear to be hunting me. I can stop treating every moment as an emergency. Kiwi, day 8, for the first time eats a full portion of food while the kitten is visible across the room. Small detail. Enormous internal shift. Ollie, day 9, stops alarm calling when the puppy barks in the next room. The bark still gets a head turn. Attention, not panic. This is the moment the title of this video is really about. Not the arrival, not the fear. This quiet, unremarkable Tuesday, more than a week in, when a bird's brain finally stops running its highest alert protocol, because the evidence, patiently gathered over 9 days, finally outweighs the fear. Nobody films this moment for social media. It doesn't look like anything. It is, chemically, one of the most significant things that happens in your bird's entire adjustment. Days 10 through 14. With reclassification underway, this phase is about consolidation. Repeated safe exposure, slowly closing distance, always at the bird's pace rather than the calendar's. Brain state readout. Cortisol continues a gradual decline. Sleep quality returns to near baseline. Dopamine spikes during owner interaction return to pre-arrival levels. This is also the window where individual personality starts to matter more than species-level patterns. Some Quaker parrots remain permanently wary of the new animal, tolerant, calm, but never warm. Others, especially younger or more socially confident birds, begin showing early curiosity, leaning toward the new animal during supervised sightlines instead of away from it. Kiwi, day 12, watches the kitten play with a toy from her perch, not alarmed, genuinely watching, head tilting with what looks very much like interest. Ollie, day 13, still keeps a clear preference for distance from the puppy specifically, but has completely stopped reacting to the puppy's sounds from other rooms. Full readout normalization for anything not directly in his sightline. Neither bird is further along than the other in any meaningful sense. They are simply different birds, with different temperaments, running the same underlying protocol at their own honest pace. That distinction matters. Comparing your bird's timeline to someone else's, or to Kiwi's, or Ollie's, misses the point entirely. The goal was never a specific day. The goal was always, is the trend line moving in the right direction? Days 15 through 21. By this point, in a well-managed introduction, your Quaker parrot's brain has done something remarkable. It has expanded its map of a safe world to include a new, permanent feature, brain state readout. A new baseline is established. Not identical to the pre-arrival readout, genuinely new. Cortisol steady, oxytocin during owner bonding fully recovered, in several recorded cases slightly higher than before, as if the shared experience of navigating something stressful together deepened the existing bond rather than diluting it. That last finding surprised even the researchers. Kiwi, day 19, flies to Priya's shoulder while the kitten sits nearby on the floor, something that would have been unthinkable on day 0. Ollie, day 21, still prefers his own space from the puppy, and that is completely fine. Full stability does not require friendship. It requires safety. Ollie has that now. Neither bird loves the new pet by any meaningful behavioral measure at day 21. That is not the expectation, and owners who chase that outcome on an artificial timeline often undo weeks of progress trying to force it. What both birds have achieved is something more foundational, and honestly, more important. A world that got more complicated, and a nervous system that adapted to it without losing its center. You. I know this was a lot of data. Here it is, distilled into what actually matters. Before arrival, prepare the new animal's space fully before it enters the home, so day 0 itself is calm and brief, no extended chaos on top of the introduction itself. Days 0 to 3, full separation, no forced sightlines. Let your Quaker parrot hear and smell the new animal from a safe distance without visual confrontation. Days 4 to 6, brief, supervised, distant sightlines only. No holding either animal toward the other. Distance is doing the work, let it. Days 7 to 14, gradually shorten the distance. Always led by your bird's body language, never by the calendar. Puffed calm feathers and normal eating at a given distance means you can close the gap slightly. Alarm calling or lunging means you back up and hold at the previous distance longer. Days 15 to 21 and beyond, stop measuring progress by whether they become friends. Measure it by whether your bird's baseline behaviors, eating, sleeping, calling for you, flying to you, have returned. And through every single phase, your own calm matters more than any individual step on this list. Your bird is reading your nervous system as closely as it is reading the new animals. If you are anxious about the introduction going wrong, that anxiety is data your bird is receiving in real time. Be the steadiest thing in the room. That was true before the new pet arrived. It is even more true now. 21 days. That is roughly how long it takes a Quaker parrot's brain to rebuild a map that includes something it did not choose, did not ask for, and initially read as a threat. It does this not because it has to. It does this because somewhere underneath the alarm calls and the still silences and the watchful nights, it trusts that you would not have brought something dangerous into its world. That trust is the reason the whole process even works. Protect it. Move at its pace, not yours. And on day 21, when your bird eats normally with the new animal in the room and still flies to you the way it always has, you will know the map held. Which day are you on right now, if you're going through this? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear how your bird is doing. And if this helped you understand what your bird is actually going through, like this video, and share it with anyone about to bring home a new pet. Subscribe to Quaker Mind, because next week, we're covering something every single owner has wondered, but rarely asked out loud. I'll see you then.